What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at again with another video. So I did make a video earlier today talking about Vegas potentially being the future home for WrestleMania, and what that means is they plan on going back to Vegas for WrestleMania 42 since they're not going to New Orleans next year, and also they're gonna make that potentially as a WrestleMania home spot. They won't be having WrestleMania there every year, but they will be going back more frequently. And I think the reasonings they had listed in the article that I checked out involves TKO realizing that they made probably the most money they've ever made, the company's ever made at WrestleMania over this WrestleMania this past year for WrestleMania 41. They made a lot of money. The executives live out there in Las Vegas, so it just works for everybody that's literally on the business side of things because they made so much money. So I wanted to actually make this video talking about TKO and what they are doing essentially to WWE, and on the pace that they're going. I'll be honest with you, I'm not liking how this is going to turn out for WWE as a whole. I think they're going to start driving away more fans than they realize. TKO, since they've been a part of WWE, and since they've acquired WWE when Vince sold it, it hasn't really been consumer friendly in my personal opinion. I feel like once Vince sold the company, and he was gonna try to be a part of the company still, but obviously the whole Janelle Grant situation intensified, so they kicked him to the curb. Once they kicked him to the curb, and if you guys remember why they kicked him to the curb, this is a very telling sign that I don't think people realized. I probably didn't even realize it, but I noticed it, that this was probably going to be a future things to come. When Vince initially got removed from his day-to-day duties after he sold the company into TKO, Slim Jim was a sponsorship for that upcoming SummerSlam. SummerSlam was right around the corner. Slim Jim was one of the sponsors, one of the big sponsors for that year's SummerSlam. And once they found out that Vince was there and still being involved, and the whole Janelle Grant thing started really, gaining some more traction, they removed themselves because they didn't want to have anything to do with WWE because of that. Guess what happened right after that? They told him he had to go. The guy that sold them the company, the guy that's responsible for WWE's success ultimately, they told him to go. He had to go home. And right after that happened, Slim Jim was right back to being one of the sponsors for SummerSlam that year. Once that happened, that was a telltale sign that TKO will do anything for the money. Even if that means getting rid of someone that just sold them the company. They will do anything to make sure the money is there. And that was a sign that most people probably didn't realize, but now it's starting to reign true with everything that they're doing. Think about this. Why would they go back to Vegas? We just had WrestleMania there. This would be the first time that's ever happened where they backdoor, and correct me if I'm wrong, go back to the same city the next year. Why would they do that? Then the reports come out, oh, well, they made the most money in Vegas. Why wouldn't they do that? Hey, we can just go ahead and tell New Orleans, hey, we'll give y'all a future WrestleMania and we'll give y'all Money in the Bank next year. So, but right now, we're probably going to go back to Vegas. Huh. That's very interesting that they would do that. Let's even think about them going international. Vince, even though he did have those international shows, they usually weren't televised. Usually it was house shows. They would do the European tours. But they would rarely have pay-per-views there. Now they're doing PLEs all over the world. And I think it's dope because you get a chance, as us American fans, we get a chance to see some of these foreign countries, their audience enjoying the show. And they turn up. It's a party to them because they rarely see it. So they get a chance to see that. Us as fans, we get a chance to witness that atmosphere. The wrestlers get a chance to be a part of that. And it's all overall a good experience. But guess what? Guess what works for WWE and TKO in this instance, how much they can charge them. They can charge them whatever they want because guess what? Those shows don't happen that often in those areas. So what is TKO going to do? Oh, we're going to up the price. We're going to charge a crazy amount of numbers, and guess what? WWE is going to break more gates because we can charge you whatever. We know you're going to pay. We know it's going to be sold out because we don't come here often. I mean, is that consumer friendly? Not really, but it's a business. Let's even talk about the pricing. We made a video talking about that. How the pricing for these tickets, not even just overseas, in America. They're charging boys $40,000 to be in the premium front rows. You have your own little entrance and all this other stuff. It's not for the hardcore fans. Hell, it's not even for the casual fans. Because what casual fan you know has that type of money? And if they do have that type of money, they're literally dipping into their savings to experience these moments. It's not. It's the spectacle of it. That's really what it is. It's the status. They have turned WWE into a place where every show is a must go to, and you got to pay this much money to have this type of experience. You need this experience. And it's not even about the wrestling. It's just about being able to say you was there. That's what they've turned it into. It's no longer about I'm just here to see my favorite wrestlers. We're going to capitalize on the hype that WWE's already built over the past few years, charge them whatever because they don't want to miss out. And there we go. Simple as that. And then we're going to plaster all our ads on the ring mat. Granted, initially for me, I didn't make it a big deal. When they put the Prime on there, I thought that was kind of wild to see that. But then it went from Prime to this, to that, to this. It literally looks like a UFC ring. And now that I see it often, on top of everything else that TKO has done that isn't really consumer friendly and is mostly just about money, it does look weird. It does take away the feeling of authenticity, or in the sense of it takes away the feeling of this is what professional wrestling should be. It's now, this is corporatized, money hungry professional wrestling now. And granted, wrestling has always been a business. It's all been about making money. But at what point is enough money enough? Because it's not like they're not making like billions of dollars. It's not like they're not doing well for each other. At what point where does the greed stop? That's become the issue. That's why I say it's not consumer friendly, because it's all greed now. It's not like they're not making good money. They are. They're making more money than they've ever made before. More deals than ever before. But now it's like, it's not enough. Hell, they're going to the Royal Rumble. It's always been in the United States for the most part. Yeah, I think it's always been in the United States. They're going to Saudi Arabia next year. You want to know why they're going next year? Simple. Money. They're going to get a lot of money. A shit ton of money to have the Royal Rumble there. Not the greatest ever Royal Rumble, because we don't speak of that garbage, but just the Royal Rumble in general. They're gonna make so much bank. Why? Because the Saudi government wants them to. And then, fuck it. All right, cool. We'll take hundreds of millions of dollars. Fuck it. That's literally what it is. And it's just one of those things where it's like, at what point, when does it stop? When do you stop trying to take the fans' money to the point of no return? I get it. It's a business, but there gotta be some point where it's like, all right, I think we've made enough. Let's kind of cater to the fans more. But it's not going to happen that way. You know what's going to happen? What's potentially going to happen is they're going to keep being greedy to the point where the fans are going to be like, no, we're good on it. Hell, let's be honest. SmackDown has been it's been boring. There's been some good stuff here and there, but for the most part, that 3-hour show is kind of tough to get through. It has been. WrestleMania season, outside of some cool moments here and there, it dipped in quality. WrestleMania this past year, outside of night two, most of night two being good, except the main event wasn't really hitting. Night one main event was fantastic. It was kind of mixed reviews. It didn't have that same feel that WrestleMania 40 did. Eventually, if the television product is not living up to the hype and the expectation of all these crazy ass prices that they're asking for, eventually fans are going to start, they're going to stop. Or they're going to start, not showing up to the shows or stop going to the shows. They're going to start not wanting to pay crazy amount of money to go to these shows and buy all this, crazy overpriced merch and all this other stuff. Then they're not going to want to do that, especially if they're not feeling like the product is improved or the product is starting to fall off. Why am I going to pay $10,000 to $15,000 to go to a show when the match may not even go may not be that well? Why would I do that? And that's the one thing that Vince had in his control over this era of WWE. For the most part, he didn't go too crazy with the pricing. He didn't go overboard. Yes, he would have his sponsorships like any other company, but he didn't go overboard with it. Now it's getting to the point that TKO, they are going to suck the fans dry, out of their wallets. They're going to empty the fans' wallets so much to the point where the fans are going to be like, nah, I'm good. I don't think I need to go to WrestleMania 46 in Vegas again. I don't think I need to go there. We just saw it. You know what? I don't think I need to pay $30,000 for SummerSlam next year. Now, I don't think I need to go. I'm good. I hadn't even been watching the SmackDown product. Raw's been okay, whatever. That's what I can see people starting to say. I'm good. I don't know. That's just my personal opinions on it, especially with this recent news of what they're doing to WrestleMania. I think it's cool to make changes to freshen up the product, but at what point are these changes hurting the product because you're so greedy for money? Yes, it's a business, but the business ain't shit without the fans and the consumers. And once you keep pushing them away with your greedy tactics, that's when the business starts to hurt. It happens all the time. Companies feel like they get too big and they can never fall off and lose money. Once you lose the people, you start losing that money. So, hey, comment down below. Let me know. Am I the only one that feels that way? With the recent news of what's been going on with TKO and they're just money hungry, like schemes and ideas and what they want to do for WWE moving forward. Do you guys agree with my sentiments? Do you guys feel like if they keep on with this trend, they're going to start losing more fans than they think they're gaining? Do y'all feel like this is going to be something that can ultimately change WWE for a negative in the future? Y'all let me know y'all opinions on this, man. But I appreciate all love, support. Road to 150K. Appreciate y'all kicking it with me. See you on the next one. Peace.